Hello? Okay, my mic's on now. You know what? Let's restart that. Welcome in, peeps. You are listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio. Sorry. It has been so long. Marshawn and I have been busy. And not like always, he is not in here with me because he has reservations at Chili's, so he has dinner. But it is okay because I got my guy, Matt Stanley, my coworker, in here with me. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
Not a thing, man. Another day in paradise, not another place that I would rather be. We have got a big show to get into today, a college football preview show. We're going to get into a little bit of some quick hitters later on that include a certain fight that has been scheduled for the day before my birthday in August, and also to go along with some predictions. And then, as always, to end the show, we will get to You're My Boy Blue. Now, when I was texting you last night, I was kind of giving you the ins and outs of everything and whatnot. So, are you still nervous, or have the nerves kind of gone away? They're still there. I can already tell. But it's okay, little buddy, because it's all good. That's what we do here on BMerr Watters. We make everybody comfortable. You're in your own habitat. Like I told you last night, you get nervous, you're not here. You're at work. We're at work. We're talking about sports at work. The only difference is here is that we don't have to worry about customers coming in. But segment 1 today, we are going to start off with some college football. We are going to give you our preseason top 10. We're going to give you 2 teams that are sleepers in our opinion and that could possibly make a run. We're going to give you our conference champions and our playoff teams. Now, I know you probably thought a little bit over this last night and probably gave some good thought and consideration into your top 10. Lay it on me. Who do you have in your top 10, and who are your 2 sleepers?
Well, preseason, everything kind of comes together early on in the season. I'm going to have to go with Alabama at number 1. They had the number 1 class according to 24/7 Sports in 2017. Obviously, 2 trips to the national championship the last 2 years. It's kind of hard not to put Alabama at number 1. Moving forward, Ohio State at number 2. The number 2 recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports, and arguably even though it was number 2, one of the better recruiting classes that we've ever seen. Just the talent that Ohio State has coming back, even though some pretty serious losses in the secondary. It just seems like Ohio State and Urban Meyer are pretty poised to make a run at the playoff. Number 3, I have Florida State. They had the 6th ranked class according to 24/7 Sports. They have DeAndre Francois returning a quarterback. They do lose Dalvin Cook, but one of their top recruits, Cam Akers, looks poised to come in and help mend the offense with Francois. Moving forward, we'll have USC to be particular. At number 4, they had the 4th ranked class according to 24/7 Sports and a Heisman candidate quarterback coming back. Washington won the conference last year, but SC was a team that beat them. Moving forward, I think that SC has just done a really good job recruiting under the new coaching. So I think SC really makes a good run here and can compete for the Pac-12. At number 5, a team that many would believe probably deserved a playoff spot last year, I'm going to go with Penn State. They had the 15th ranked recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports. They have Saquon Barkley coming back at running back and Trace McSorley coming back at QB. Definitely a very lethal offense. Plenty of reason to think that Penn State can contend for the Big Ten. At number 6, I'm going to go with Washington. They have Jake Browning coming back, and that's already going to help them tremendously. They do have a couple losses, primarily on defense. But moving forward, they had the 22nd ranked class, including some 4-star athletes that they look to be putting in the secondary, and I think those can really help mend the losses that Washington had from a year ago. At number 7, I'm going to go with Oklahoma. They had the 8th ranked recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports. They do all of a sudden lose a Hall of Fame head coach, but with the talent in place and a Heisman candidate quarterback in Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma is, at least for the time being, definitely a contender. At number 8, I'm going to go with the reigning national champion Clemson Tigers. They had the 16th ranked recruiting class. Dabo Swinney's done an excellent job since taking over at Clemson, and I don't see that slowing down too much, even with a loss like Deshaun Watson heading to the NFL. At number 9, I'm going to go with LSU. Coach O's done a good job down there mending some of the uneasy feelings from Les Miles. They had the number 7 ranked recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports. They do lose Leonard Fournette, but they do have plenty of firepower left in the backfield, and I think that helps keep them on track. And number 10, I'm going to go with Wisconsin. They do have kind of a lower recruiting class for 2017 at number 39, but Wisconsin's always that ground pound type of team that with most teams they're able to contend with and stick close to. So Wisconsin seems like they have a really good chance to not only win their division but compete for the conference.
Now, with looking back through your top 10, I see a bunch of similarities, and I also see some differences between your top 10, your preseason top 10, and my preseason top 10. Now, before I give mine, I want to ask you, who are your 2 sleeper teams? Who are 2 teams that, looking on paper right now, not a lot of people are looking at them, but they can come back, or I'm sorry, not come back. They can make a run, possibly maybe not get to the playoff, but they can splash and get into a New Year's Six Bowl.
2 teams that I think actually have a really, really good chance of making a New Year's Six and possibly a run at the playoff. I'm going to start with Georgia. First, they're in the SEC East. Don't have to face Alabama this year. That is crucial for completing a good season. Looking at Georgia's schedule, I think that it's really favorable. I think they start off pretty hot. They don't really have a lot of early competition. One of their most notable games is going to be against Florida, their division rival. Early on, their toughest competition is going to be Notre Dame. I don't see them taking a loss until they have to travel to Auburn late in the season. I'm looking for Georgia to be a one-loss team here. I think that they can definitely win the SEC East and challenge Alabama for the SEC.
Now, also another thing to mention too with that sleeper team that you said in Georgia, with you think their biggest or their first big test is going to be against Florida. One thing to note here with that game is that game is always played in Jacksonville. That game is not a home and home. It's always played in Jacksonville at the field where the Jacksonville Jaguars play. So that's another big thing to look at too, and that's always, I believe, a noon kickoff. So it's not like it's going to be a night game. In my opinion, a lot of fans don't see this like your average football fan, but obviously you and I know this pretty well. I don't care who you are. If you're going to another place at night, that does play a huge advantage into the home team. And the fact that those 2 teams are playing at a neutral site at noon, I could see it going either way. I like your prediction. Now, do you have any other teams at all that could possibly maybe not even make maybe not make the playoff, but they could make a late run or possibly play devil's advocate into a conference race, maybe with a big law or maybe with a big win and upsetting a top 10 team at the end of the year? Do you think that there's a team in particular outside of the 2 that you mentioned that could possibly make a run at what I just said?
I think Louisville has a really good chance at playing devil's advocate to a contending team. I think that they capitalize on bringing back a Heisman Trophy winner and compete in the ACC. I don't think that they really have too great a chance to win, what with Clemson being on its come up the last couple of years and coming off a national championship, and not to mention Florida State with excellent recruiting, tons of talent. I think Louisville is a team that can challenge in the ACC and possibly knock off a couple contenders near the end. But as far as a team that I think has a really, really good chance to not only make a run into playoff, but has a really, really good chance at making a New Year's Six, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. Bringing back Mason Rudolph. He was one of the top quarterbacks last year in completion percentage and yards. I think that Oklahoma State, with some backslide from Oklahoma, has a really good chance to contend. I don't see them losing too many games with their favorable schedule as well. So as far as my sleepers, I'm going to go with Georgia, Oklahoma State, but Louisville is a team to watch out for that can mess up some teams towards the end of the year.
So overall, looking at it, I like your top 10, and I like your sleepers. Mine are a little similar, and I have a couple teams moved around here, and I already think you know who one of my sleeper teams is. But I will get to that when we come back here from commercial break. You are listening to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio, The Score.
This is Bob McElligott, the radio voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and you're listening to the new generation of sports talk radio, ScoreOnAir.com, The Score.
Nasty's Sports Bar in Reynoldsburg is under new management. Located at 6150 East Main Street, the home for Taco Tuesday is rejuvenated and the home for great food and family fun. Nasty's Sports Bar is a great place for happy hour, serving $2 domestics, $3 glasses of wine, and $5 appetizers, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 614-864-2827 to find out the daily specials. Nasty's. Great food, family fun, with a cool name.
Listen to ScoreOnAir.com for your chance to win. Every Friday, we will be giving away a prize pack, and here's how you can qualify. Send us a message with your name, phone number, email, and date of birth to our Facebook or Twitter accounts. Just search Your Score on Air, or you can call or text any of our live shows at 614-641-0674 and tell them you want to win. It's that easy. A new winner will be selected every Friday at 7 p.m. This is your home for the new generation of sports talk radio and weekly prize giveaways. ScoreOnAir.com. The Score.
I'm Jake Safranco with your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Now here's the Sports Doc, Dr. Chris Stankovich.
Does your son or daughter struggle with nerves when it comes to competing in sports? If so, it's important to know that this is perfectly normal. In fact, professional athletes struggle with the very same anxieties that your son or daughter does while competing. Nerves are a result largely because of cognitive appraisals, and what that means is how we perceive things often dictates how our bodies will respond. You might want to think of this as fight or flight. In fact, when I work with athletes, I ask them, do they view pressure situations as challenges or do they see them as threats? If they view them as challenges, they often gain confidence, sharpen their focus, and become even more motivated to succeed. But if they see the situation as threatening, that's when anxiety creeps in and usually compounds matters. So it's important that you look at skills that can help, including deep breathing, using imagery, and reminding your child of the importance of positive self-talk.
This has been your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Enrolling now, visit BeOnAir.com.
Welcome back. You are listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio. Not like always, I do not have Marshawn in here with me because he sucks and he left me out to dry today, but he's got big boy things to do. He has dinner reservations at Chili's. He's bringing me a burrito. And he is not bringing a burrito to my good friend and special guest, Matt, my coworker at the good old Buckeye Room down in Grove City. Come give us a stop sometime. We do not sell Michigan stuff, so if you ask, I will punch you in the face. If you are listening and watching on youtube.com/ScoreOnAir and you need to get on the go, you can download the TuneIn app, search Score on Air. You can listen to me there. That rhymed. I'm starting to get good at this. Also, too, if you don't want to watch on any of those and you want to watch my lovely face up close on my Facebook live feed, my Facebook name is Brian Merriman Jr. I post pictures of my family, cats, and I usually talk about sports a lot. So, if you're not friends with me on Facebook, you suck, and you should be.
What if I'm not friends with you on Facebook?
That's because you don't have a Facebook. Don't get lippy. Anyways, before break, I told you that I like your top 10 and I like your sleeper teams. and I like the overall lineup that you got with your top 10. It's not bad. Mine's a little different, tweaked a couple teams here or there, but overall ours are relatively similar. Our top 4 teams are the same, but I got a couple teams switched out. Number 1, it's hard not to put them at number 1, Alabama. They have 6 returning starters on offense, 5 on defense. They were 14-1 last year, 8-0 in the SEC with the SEC championship, and we all know they lost in the title game to Clemson in a thriller. The reason why I have them at number 1, I don't even have to say anything. You just got to say Alabama. There's not really a whole lot else you need to say. Number 2, same as yours. I have Ohio State. Ohio State has 8 returning starters on offense and 7 on defense. Last year they were 11-2. They were 8-1 in the Big Ten, and they lost the playoff semifinal game to Clemson, and their other loss came to Penn State in Happy Valley at night. Number 3, I have USC. They got 6 returning starters on offense, 8 on defense, 10-3 last year, 7-2 in their conference, and they beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl in what was arguably the best Rose Bowl that I've ever seen outside of the 2005 national championship game with Texas and USC. Go figure. And their other losses came to Alabama, Stanford, and Utah. Number 4, got the Seminoles of Florida State. They've got 7 returning starters on offense, 9 on defense. That defense is going to be stout this year, led by a very young but very talented quarterback. They were 10-3 last year, 5-3 in the ACC, and they beat Michigan in the Orange Bowl. And their other losses came to Clemson, Louisville, and that was it. I don't know why I had another team down there. But, see, sometimes I mess up on here. Told you. But it's okay because people laugh at me like people laughing at me now on my Facebook live feed. Number 5, Penn State. 9 returning starters on offense, 7 on defense. This team scares me. We'll get into that later. They were 11-3 last year, 8-1 in the Big Ten. They did win the Big Ten championship. And their other losses came to they lost to USC in the Rose Bowl. And their other losses came to Pitt and Michigan. Now, Pitt is also a team that beat the defending national champion Clemson Tigers, who I have at number 6. They have 5 returning starters on offense, 7 on defense. Last year they went 14-1, 7-1 in the ACC, wrapping up the title, and they also wrapped up the national championship in a thriller against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Once again, their only loss was to the Pitt Panthers, which I don't know about a lot of people, but looking back at Pitt's team last year doesn't really surprise me. But, to each his own. Number 7, I have Oklahoma. 8 returning starters on offense, 7 on defense. 11-2 last year. They swept the Big 12, 9-0, winning the Big 12 championship. And they beat Auburn in the Sugar Bowl. Their only other losses came to Houston and Ohio State in Week 1 and Week 3. Number 8, I've got the Huskies of Washington. 7 returning starters on offense and 7 on defense to go along with that. They went 12-2 last year with an 8-1 Pac-12 record, wrapping up the championship, and they lost to Alabama in the national playoff semifinal game, and their only other loss came to USC, which I wasn't surprised there at all either. Number 9, I've got Oklahoma State. A lot of firepower there. 7 returning starters on offense, 6 on defense. 10-3 last year, 7-1 in their conference in the Big 12. They beat Colorado in the Alamo Bowl. Their other losses came to Central Michigan, which, according to their head coach on their rings, does not say, but I'm just going to set my T on that. Baylor and Oklahoma. And to round out the top 10, my number 10 team heading into this season, which you consider a sleeper, is Georgia. They have 7 returning starters on offense. They lost 1 player on defense. They've got 10 returning. Last year, not so good, 8-5, 4-4 in the SEC, and they beat TCU in the Liberty Bowl. You guys are probably wondering, why do I have an 8-5 team from last year in my top 10? Key word, 10 returning starters on defense, and arguably the best running back in the country heading into this season in Nick Chubb.
Not to mention the top 3 class according to 24/7 Sports.
Exactly. Thank you for adding on to that, because I would have forgotten because I have short-term memory loss. But what I don't have memory loss about is the fact that, yes, this team did lose 5 games. They lost to Tennessee, Ole Miss, a Vanderbilt team, Florida, and Georgia Tech. Do you see any problems with the top 10?
Absolutely not. It's very well supported. Plenty of reasons to believe that that's a very realistic top 10.
2 sleepers. You already know who one of my sleepers is. I know you did without looking at my screen. What do we talk about almost on a daily basis, and including 2 weeks ago when we worked together, about a certain resignment in college football?
Oklahoma?
My number 1 sleeper is Texas.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The University of Texas Longhorns. My guy Mark's Longhorns. They've got a new coach in town, and a lot of you have probably heard of him, Tom Herman. Tom Herman is an offensive guru that led Ohio State to a national championship back in 2014 under quarterbacks Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett, and Cardell Jones. He also had a great breakout year in Houston last year. He was there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Beat Florida State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Last year didn't go so well. Greg Ward Jr. kind of fell off at the end of the year, but still think he's going to be he's already a great hire for Texas, and I think over the next 4 to 5 years, he's going to be able to prove that. I've told you this before, and I'll say it again live on radio. Texas is going to be in the playoff in the next 2 to 3 years, and it would not surprise me at all. My other sleeper team, who you had in your top 10, is Florida State. Now, the reason why I have Florida State as a sleeper team is because you've got a young quarterback in Francois. I love Francois. I love me some Francois, don't get me wrong. Probably my favorite quarterback in the country. I love the way he plays. I love the way he handles himself on the field and on the sideline. There's one problem. Jimbo Fisher hasn't done a very good job over the last couple seasons playing into his quarterbacks. He's gotten his quarterbacks into some trouble. He got Francois into trouble last year against Clemson. He could have handled that and prepped for that game a little better. He also could have done the same thing against Houston. Got demolished by Houston, got embarrassed by Houston. Now, in our eyes, probably it's not really an embarrassment, but for Florida State, who I consider a top 10, top 15 all-time national powerhouse, it's a little bit of a shellacking. But I do have them as my sleeper team, and I would not be surprised if they make it at all. And heading into that discussion real quick, my conference champions, I actually have Florida State winning the ACC, but I have them doing it very quietly. I don't think they're going to be blowing out teams. I don't think that they're going to be winning by 20 or 30 points week in and week out, but I do think that they are going to be a team that quietly wins the ACC, and they make it into the playoff. I've got USC winning the Pac-12. I've got Texas winning the Big 12. And then the other two you can probably already guess. I've got Ohio State not being a homer. I'm being dead serious, winning the Big 10. And I've got Alabama winning the SEC. The problem with the SEC, you can probably agree. If you don't, tell me otherwise. There's Alabama that's all the way up here at the top of the mountain, and then everybody else is way down here. The SEC is not as good as what it once was. I couldn't tell you right now off the top of my head who I think the second best conference is. If I had to take a guess, I would say the Big Ten, if not the Big Ten, the Pac-12. But Alabama's going to dominate that conference. If they're going to lose a game, I think it's going to be early. And I wouldn't be surprised if a certain team named Ole Miss does it again for the third time in the last 4 years.
I definitely have Ole Miss beating Alabama.
Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they did, but it also wouldn't surprise me if Alabama just goes out there and shellacks them, because last season Alabama and Ole Miss were in a dogfight that I remember going into the fourth quarter, and then Alabama just pulled away. I believe they had 14 points in a matter of 3 minutes. So big turnovers costly by Chad Kelly at the end. Cost Ole Miss the game in the fourth quarter, but Ole Miss was playing very good defense against Jalen Hurts, who I still don't know how I feel about Jalen Hurts.
Really?
And when I say that is that I have a feeling that if he stays at Alabama all 4 years, he could possibly be a top 5 college quarterback of all time. I don't know how I feel about him yet because he did it so quietly last year, and I don't know how. He plays for Alabama. And he didn't get near the much recognition because of Alabama's very stout defense. And you've also, in the last couple of seasons, you've had great running back play. So I think he could be very well in the top 10, top 5 discussion all time. But it has to be proven if he can do this year in and year out at Alabama, because we've seen like 5 quarterbacks in the last 6 seasons there.
I find it surprising. Nick Saban had said to folks at ESPN that he wasn't sure who the starter would be coming into the fall. And to me, that's crazy. You had a freshman quarterback lead you to a national championship appearance, an SEC championship, and sure, maybe it was quiet because of Alabama's stout defense, but offensively, looks like Alabama didn't really skip a beat from what they're normally used to. I would be extremely surprised if anyone came in and took the job from Jalen Hurts.
I would be extremely surprised too. I don't know what Nick Saban was thinking when he said that. He might have been drinking some of that fancy wine that he gets, but I don't know. But I want to hear your conference champions, and I want to hear what you think and what your differences from mine is. And we're going to give it to you after we get back here from commercial break. You're listening to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio, The Score.
Broadcasting from the Score On Air studios at the Ohio Media School in Columbus, Ohio. Your home for all the latest sports news and talk. ScoreOnAir.com. The Score.
Are you a sports fan? Do you have a mobile phone? Great, that's all you need to stay up to date with ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation of sports talk radio, with original talk shows starting every 2 hours, covering every sport from every angle.
From basketball
to hockey
to martial arts
to fantasy football.
We cover all Ohio sports. Just go to ScoreOnAir.com or download the TuneIn Radio app and search Score On Air. You'll be part of the action in no time. Whether you're stuck in traffic, at the grocery store, studying at the library, anywhere for that matter. Tune in anytime to get your sports fix. Follow us on social media or go to ScoreOnAir.com for even more original content, including play-by-play of local high school and college games, sports articles, and podcasts. ScoreOnAir.com is your home for the best analysis, coverage, and lukewarm sports takes. The best part, we're broadcasting live right here in Columbus.
IO.
ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation of sports talk radio.
The Score.
NWA Midwest Championship Wrestling is looking for interns. Have you heard of Ric Flair? Well, this is the company that brought you Ric Flair before he went to the WWE, and we're looking for interns to work behind the scenes hand in hand with production, with audio, with video, and with podcasts and radio. Contact Damon Dury, the big dog, at 740-971-3968.
The Be On Air Network, bringing you the best of the best in internet radio from across the country. From Miami to Denver to Chicago and Cleveland. You'll hear all the top shows from all of our college stations. For more information on the Ohio Media School, go to BeOnAir.com. Be On Air Network, bringing you the best college radio has to offer.
Are you someone who has always dreamed of a career in sports media? The Ohio Media School now offers a 6-month sports emphasis program to prepare you for a whole new career. Whether it's radio or television, play-by-play or production, the Ohio Media School has you covered. You will receive training from professionals that are actually in the industry. The Ohio Media School will get you where you need to be for a successful career in this exciting, expanding field. To schedule a visit, call 614-655-5250 or go to beonair.com. Stop dreaming about a career in sports and make it a reality at the Ohio Media School.
The new generation of sports talk radio. Here's your ScoreOnAir.com Score Center update.
Jason Kipnis and Michael Brantley weren't in the lineup. Manager Terry Francona was working on his third leadoff hitter in as many games, and Andrew Miller was unavailable. But the Indians had a new cleanup hitter and Lonnie Chisenhall coming off the bench. The lineup changes produced some instant offense and the Indians' first lead in 3 days as they beat the Dodgers 12-5 Thursday afternoon to avoid a 3-game sweep at Progressive Field. Next up for the Tribe is a 4-game series in Minnesota versus versus the Twins in a battle for first place in the AL Central on Friday. Carlos Carrasco faces off against Minnesota left-hander Nick Turley. First pitch is at 8:10 on Sports Time Ohio. Red Senior Director of Amateur Scouting Chris Buckley announced on Monday that the team has selected right-handed pitcher Hunter Green with the team's first pick, second overall, of the 2017 first-year player draft. The 6'3", 195-pound Green has topped out at 102 miles per hour with his fastball. Louisville could lose its 2013 NCAA title, and the Cardinals coach Rick Pitino will be suspended for the first 5 ACC games in 2018. He failed to monitor his program during an alleged sex for pay scandal, the Division I Committee on Infractions announced on Thursday. Louisville announced it will appeal the ruling. For the latest news, scores, and updates, keep it locked right here to the new generation of Sports Talk Radio, ScoreOnAir.com, The Score.
Welcome back. You are listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for Sports Talk Radio. I do not have Marshawn in here with me like always because he sucks and he has dinner reservations, so he's not going to be in today. But I got my guy, my coworker, and my good friend Matt Stanley in here with me. He knows a lot of college football, and that's what we're getting into today. Possibly going to get into a little bit of discussion here within the next couple minutes because I got a feeling that we may have a couple things differently. So I want to kind of pick your brain and see why you was thinking that. So before we went to break, I said that I want to hear your conference champions, and then we're going to get into our playoff teams. So do you have anything different from me? And is there any particular reason why you chose those teams to win the conference?
I'm going to take Oklahoma State to win the Big 12. You said you had Texas, I believe?
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, to me, just has so much returning. Texas is kind of transitioning under Tom Herman, and I just think that Texas is 2 or 3 years away. Now, granted, they said the same thing about the 2014 Ohio State team that Herman was leading on the offensive side of the ball. So it's kind of his MO to have teams ready before they're really ready. But Oklahoma State, with Mason Rudolph returning, I think that they're really poised to make a run at the Big 12 with all the uncertainty going on at Oklahoma, who's been dominating the conference. Oklahoma State, to me, is the only team different than what you have. Ohio State, Alabama, they're pretty much no-brainers at this point. Florida State, to me, you said that they would be kind of quiet. I'm not seeing them being quiet. They start off the season in a high-profile game against Alabama, and after that, I think it's all uphill from there. Like, I think that that Florida State has so much talent that program is full of so many high-profile prospects, excellent coaching. You said yourself it's a top 10, 15 program of all time as far as college football. Florida State, to me, is not going to win quietly, but rather dominantly. I think that they are definitely a top 5 team.
Now, let me cut you off here real quick, and we'll get right back to it. But I just kind of remembered about the big Florida State-Alabama matchup in Week 1, and I'm looking at the opening weekend of college football. There's about 15 to 20 matchups on Thursday, the day of our game. So there's a lot of football that's going to be spread out all over that weekend. And it may not seem like it, but I'm seeing a lot of very interesting matchups that could very well not alter the season, but maybe start it off a little hectic, per se. But anyways, getting back in. So you got the Big 12, and then who you got? Or you got the ACC, and then you got the Big 12. So who you got in the Pac-12?
I'm going to take USC. I just think that Sam Darnold coming back at quarterback, he's just way too talented to let the offense go by the wayside. I think SC's really poised to take over the Pac-12. They beat Washington last year in their house, and I think that's really the only...
And they did it very soundly as well.
Definitely. I think that's the only real test that they're going to have moving forward. Now, they do have Texas in week 3. So that's going to be a high-profile matchup that everyone's going to be wanting to watch. So other than that, I think SC's got a really good chance at running through the Pac-12 and making a really good case for possibly a playoff spot.
And then SEC, I'm going to assume that we have the same.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and skip over that. No explanation needed. Big 12, or I'm sorry, not Big 12. I'm drunk. Big 10. Who do you got in the Big 10?
I think there's no way Ohio State doesn't win. I just think it'd be one of the more crazy things we've seen in college football. I mean, the talent that Ohio State has coming in 2017 is through the roof. And Urban Meyer's proven with plenty of talent over his entire coaching tenure that Ohio State's always going to be in contention. Ohio State's been 1 or 2 games away from making the playoff or playing for a national championship in every year. You could argue that he's been there. So I just don't see that changing. Ohio State's made 2 of the 3 playoffs to this point. I just think that Ohio State has a really good chance at running for another one. The only competition I'm seeing out of Ohio State's Penn State, but they definitely are going to be favorable in a home environment rather than on the road.
I completely agree. And I want to play devil's advocate here with you for a minute because we both picked Ohio State. Now you're looking on my computer screen right now and you're seeing what I'm looking at. There's one team in the Big Ten West. They don't play Penn State and they don't play Ohio State. They play one of the bigger teams in the Big Ten East, and that's Michigan. And the team that I'm talking about is Wisconsin. And they've got Michigan at home, and they also have Iowa at home. Those are their last 2 home games of the year. They get Northwestern at home. Their toughest game, arguably on the schedule, I would say, is at Nebraska. And that's their second Big Ten game of the year. Is there any way that you see Wisconsin, let's say they do win the West, do you see them giving Ohio State a challenge in a possible Big Ten championship game that is at a neutral site compared to last year, how it went into double overtime in Camp Randall?
I think Wisconsin does win the West. I think Wisconsin, I'm projecting about maybe around a 10-win season. I think Michigan's going to give them trouble later in the year. So I think that's a loss. But the only other real game that I'm seeing that Wisconsin probably is not going to be favored in is they go to Lincoln to play Nebraska. I think that's definitely a game that they could lose. Other than that, I think that the way the rest of that division is shaped up, Wisconsin seems like the clear-cut favorite. As far as a potential Big Ten championship game, I don't think that it's going to be too close. I think Ohio State is just really overpowered at this point. The only team that I think really stands a chance against them is Penn State. I mean, the only other team that some would have said could really knock off Ohio State could possibly be Michigan. But with all of the starters and whatnot that they're losing, I'm not seeing them being too much of a factor, although they do have a home game with Ohio State. I think as far as a potential Big Ten championship game, an Ohio State-Wisconsin matchup is really likely in my opinion, and a potential score that I have for that is somewhere around 38-17.
Can Wisconsin make the playoff?
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
In a one-word answer, no.
Fair enough. I also think the same thing. Just wanted to get a topic. Now, another topic that I have is actually looking at the schedule that I find very, very interesting is the fact that Michigan is at Wisconsin in a Week 12 matchup. You and I can both agree that that game is going to be, with that game being at Camp Randall, that's probably going to be at least a 5 o'clock or later game, which means Michigan is getting back to Ann Arbor very late. And they've got a certain team that next week. I think that could possibly play into Ohio State's favor. Michigan getting back late, which means they have a shorter week. They're probably going to have an off day Sunday. And then they're going to get back into it. And I understand, yes, the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, that's a different week, yada this, yada that. But looking at it, I didn't realize that the schedule was made like that, but I think that gives Ohio State a big advantage that people are not looking at right now. I'm
going to agree with you, and I'm going to also bring up the point that the week before that game, Ohio State's going to be playing Illinois. Who, under Lovie Smith, has not been producing like many people in Illinois have thought that they would. So I think that the matchups before the game definitely favors Ohio State.
It does, and that is going to be a very, very interesting thing to look at. And another thing that I want to look at here is I want to get your playoff teams. Who do you think is going to be in the playoffs? I'm going to ask you that when we come back from commercial break. You are listening to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for Sports Talk Radio, The Score.
This is Bob McElligott, the radio voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and you're listening to the new generation of Sports Talk Radio, ScoreOnAir.com, The Score.
Hey guys, Matty Ice here, proud alum of the Ohio Media School. Get the training you need to get a job you will love. The Ohio Media School has classes in radio, television, sports broadcasting, and film and video production. Visit BeOnAir.com today to get started. That's BeOnAir.com.
What's good, Big Game James?
How you feeling, D.O. Jr.?
My guy, I'm super excited. High school sports is starting back, man.
Man, I'm even more excited because we got this new show starting. Tell the people what we doing, D.O. Jr.
Man, we starting the Central Ohio High School Showcase, the COHSS.
That's right. We're covering football, basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, and track and field. If it's in season, we own it.
Hey, you know we do this for the kids, man. You can listen live by going to ScoreOnAir.com via the TuneIn app or watch us streaming live by going to the Score On Air YouTube channel, the COHSS, giving you nothing less, showcasing Central Ohio's best.
I'm Jake Safranco with your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Now here's the Sports Doc, Dr. Chris Stankovich.
When we think of athletes like Derek Jeter, Kobe Bryant, or Tom Brady, often the first word that comes to mind is clutch. These are the types of athletes who seem to perform their best when the pressure is on. Did you know that clutch athletes aren't necessarily born that way? But what separates them from the competition is that clutch players are not afraid to fail. That's the biggest difference. In fact, they want the ball when the game is on the line. You know, in order to really solidify this point, you might want to go back to an old Michael Jordan commercial where he talked about not how many shots he made when the game was on the line, but how many times he missed. So it's important that we note, in order to perform our best in clutch situations, we have to want the ball in those situations, and we cannot be afraid to fail. Otherwise, we will fail in clutch situations.
This has been your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Enrolling now, visit BeOnAir.com.
All right. Welcome back. You are listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for Sports Talk Radio. I do not have Marshawn in here with me like always because he sucks, and if you are listening, Marshawn, I miss you. But in his place, I got my special guest, my good friend, and my coworker, Matt Stanley, in here with me. We are holding it down, talking college football, and we are getting ready to give you our playoff teams, and then we are going to get into and break down Ohio State's football schedule for the 2017 season. Now, before break, I told you that I want your playoff teams. They're probably very similar to mine, but go ahead and break it down.
Unfortunately, as far as my playoff rankings are concerned, they really mirror my preseason top 10, which most would say is not really realistic, just because throughout a season teams will lose or people will jump in rankings.
I mean, hey, last year I had 3 of the top 4 teams right. I had the national championship game right, and I had the national champion right. But that one team I was way off on. I had Stanford winning the Pac-12 and making it to the playoff, and they weren't even close.
Hey, but you picked the conference.
Stanford didn't win the Pac-12.
Well, no, but I mean,
I didn't even have Washington finishing in my top 15. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes we're dumb. We're not going to look dumb saying this because they're going to be very arguable predictions. But go ahead.
At number 4, I'm going to go with USC. I think that they finish at 12-1 after completing a Pac-12 champion season. With Sam Darnold coming back, sure, they lose a couple of guys, Adoree Jackson, who played both sides of the ball, Juju Smith-Schuster, a big playmaker on offense. I do think that with the type of talent that SC is bringing in, they seem really, really poised to make a run at the playoff. So I have them at number 4. At number 3, I'm going to go with Florida State. I think that the first, the home opener, or not the home opener, the season opener, against Alabama is going to be their only loss. I think that this season that Florida State has ahead of them is extremely favorable. So I think they win the ACC convincingly and that they come in at number 3. The only reason I have them at number 3 is because the two teams ahead of them are just that much better. At number 2, I'm going to go with Alabama. Only reason I have them at 2 is because they, in my projections, are going to take a loss in the ACC portion of their season, an in-conference loss kind of midway through. I think that hurts them, and ultimately, I think what gets them into number 2 is a potential head-to-head victory over Florida State. If not, I would have them switched. But that head-to-head does seem to be something important in the eyes of the playoff selection committee. So I have Alabama at number 2 at 12-1 in the SEC champions. And at number 1, I have Ohio State. Ohio State is ranked number 1 in ESPN's Football Power Index. The type of talent they have coming in and the amount of starters they have coming back, particularly offensively. I mean, yeah, they have a lot of losses in the secondary. But Ohio State seems like there's very few real tests on their schedule. I mean, a lot of people would think that Michigan could give them a run, being as in the game is in Ann Arbor, but like we had just discussed a few moments ago, Illinois is the game that they have before Michigan. So Ohio State is going to have a pretty favorable schedule. I honestly don't see them losing until we get into a potential postseason scenario. I have the Buckeyes at number 1.
So I'm looking at this Football Power Index preseason. Ohio State has a 69% chance to win the conference. Next closest is Wisconsin at 20.1. Next closest, Penn State, 7.2. I don't think those are very accurate. I like them, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're very accurate. But what is very accurate is that my playoff teams are all the same as yours except mine are switched up. I have, at number 4, I have USC. I have USC sliding in at the number 4 spot, and I have them taking on number 1 Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. And then in the Rose Bowl, I have number 3 Florida State playing against number 2 Ohio State. Same 4, different order. The reason why I put Alabama ahead of Ohio State is because of the fact that outside of their non-conference schedule, when they get into conference play, they're literally going to dominate the SEC, and I don't think that people realize that. Their closest bet is going to be LSU, and they don't have Leonard Fournette. They don't have as much raw talent as what they've had in the last couple of seasons. Alabama easily takes the SEC. That's why I have them at number 1. Ohio State, I have them at number 2. Ohio State's going to lose a game this year, and it's going to be very unexpected. I think Ohio State loses one game. They win the Big Ten championship, most likely against Wisconsin. And the loss that I'm looking at is it's almost going to be like a last second loss, kind of like it was at Penn State last year. At Iowa, it scares me. It's probably going to be night. Kinnick Stadium's nothing to mess with. At Nebraska, every time we've played Nebraska in our previous 5 games, it's been at night. I don't see why this would be any different. So I think those 2 games, I'm not worried about Oklahoma. People's like, oh, Oklahoma. No. Cut the BS. We're going to beat Oklahoma. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm not worried about it.
A point of inquiry about Alabama. They traveled to Texas A&M, who's given them fits over the past couple of years. Do you think there's any chance that A&M pulls the upset?
Is Trevor Knight their quarterback?
Is he still there?
No, he's not. So, no.
What about when they travel to Auburn? It's a rivalry.
Yes, I could see that. Now, one thing that Auburn needs is my guy John Franklin III from the Last Chance U. They need him to step up and be the playmaker that they signed and gave a scholarship to out of JUCO. They need him to step up. Auburn's got a good defense, so I'm not worried about that. They've got playmakers on the outside. I'm not worried about that. Their main guy that they need is JF3, and I can easily see Auburn beating Alabama in an upset. It's probably going to be a night game, like it always is. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a very interesting one.
What about the potential scare at Nebraska you mentioned for Ohio State? Looking at their schedule, the teams that they face consecutively before having to travel to Lincoln, UNLV, which ESPN gives a 99% chance for Ohio State to come out with a victory. At Rutgers.
At stupid Rutgers.
And then at home against Maryland. I don't think that there's, maybe this is a bit unfair to the competition in the Big Ten, but I don't think there's going to be too much sweating done over these teams. I think that Ohio State's going to come in pretty healthy to Lincoln and get a pretty clutch W, and then they go on a bye week to prepare for a tough home game against Penn State.
Now, that's the advantage that Ohio State has over Penn State this year is the fact that the last 2 seasons, Penn State has had a bye week before they play Ohio State. This week, they don't. We have a bye week. I think that very heavily plays into our favor. Yes, they've got a lot of firepower on offense. I think that our defense is stout enough to be able to hold them down. Arguably, maybe number 2 to Alabama, but I can make a case. Ohio State's got the best front 4 in college football, and their second 4 is in the top 10. It's very scary how much they have on that defensive line. And the sad part is that Nick Bosa might not even start this year. Somebody get that man some milk. There's no way that a team fair-handedly beats Ohio State this year. And like I said, if they do, it's going to be some type of play like last year against Penn State. I'm not saying kickoff return and yada yada, and I drink very heavily after the game. I'm saying like a touchdown with like 5 minutes left on an offensive drive and not a special teams miscue. But that is to be determined. What else is to be determined is we are going to look at the schedule and actually see and say which team Ohio State will lose to this upcoming season after the commercial break. You are listening to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio, The Score.
Broadcasting from the Score On Air studios at the Ohio Media School in Columbus, Ohio. Your home for all the latest sports news and talk. ScoreOnAir.com. The Score.
The Be On Air Network, bringing you the best of the best in internet radio from across the country. From Miami to Denver to Chicago and Cleveland, you'll hear all the top shows from all of our college stations. For more information on the Ohio Media School, go to BeOnAir.com. Be On Air Network, bringing you the best college radio has to offer.
Are you a sports fan? Do you have a mobile phone? Great, that's all you need to stay up to date with ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation of sports talk radio, with original talk shows starting every 2 hours, covering every sport from every angle.
From basketball
to hockey
to martial arts
to fantasy football.
We cover all Ohio sports. Just go to ScoreOnAir.com or download the TuneIn Radio app and search Score On Air. You'll be part of the action in no time. Whether you're stuck in traffic, at the grocery store, studying at the library, anywhere for that matter. Tune in anytime to get your sports fix. Follow us on social media or go to ScoreOnAir.com for even more original content, including play-by-play of local high school and college games, sports articles, and podcasts. ScoreOnAir.com is your home for the best analysis, coverage, and lukewarm sports takes. The best part, we're broadcasting live right here in Columbus.
IO.
ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation of sports talk radio.
The Score.
In a small village in Romania, after the 8th grade, students desiring to attend high school must pay their own way for transportation. From the village of Mochu to Cluj to Apahida, it costs $350 American per year per child for the bus ride of over 1 hour each way. With your help, 8 Roma children will be able to accomplish something their parents and grandparents could not do. Most of their parents have not received an elementary education. This year, 3 boys and 5 girls can have that chance to attend high school. Will you help? Please make a donation of whatever you can to help these 8 children get their high school education. Make your donations payable to Worthington Presbyterian Church, 773 North High Street, Worthington, Ohio, 43085, and add on the memo line bus transportation. Your donation will make a dream become a reality.
Are you someone who has always dreamed of a career in sports media? The Ohio Media School now offers a 6-month sports emphasis program to prepare you for a whole new career. Whether it's radio or television, play-by-play or production, the Ohio Media School has you covered. You will receive training from professionals that are actually in the industry. The Ohio Media School will get you where you need to be for a successful career in this exciting, expanding field. To schedule a visit, call 614-655-5250 or go to BeOnAir.com. Stop dreaming about a career in sports and make it a reality at the Ohio Media School.
The new generation of sports talk radio. Here's your ScoreOnAir.com Score Center update.
Jason Kipnis and Michael Brantley weren't in the lineup. Manager Terry Francona was working on his 3rd leadoff hitter in as many games, and Andrew Miller was unavailable. But the Indians had a new cleanup hitter and Lonnie Chisenhall coming off the bench. The lineup changes produced some instant offense and the Indians' first lead in 3 days as they beat the Dodgers 12-5 Thursday afternoon to avoid a 3-game sweep at Progressive Field. Next up for the Tribe is a 4-game series in Minnesota versus the Twins in a battle for first place in the AL Central on Friday. Carlos Carrasco faces off against Minnesota left-hander Nick Turley. First pitch is at 8:10 on Sports Time Ohio. Red Senior Director of Amateur Scouting Chris Buckley announced on Monday that the team has selected right-handed pitcher Hunter Green with the team's first pick, 2nd overall, of the 2017 first-year player draft. The 6'3", 195-pound Green has topped out at 102 miles per hour with his fastball. Louisville could lose its 2013 NCAA title, and the Cardinals coach Rick Pitino will be suspended for the first 5 ACC games in 2018. He failed to monitor his program during an alleged sex for pay scandal, the Division I Committee on Infractions announced on Thursday. Louisville announced it will appeal the ruling. For the latest news, scores, and updates, keep it locked right here to the new generation of sports talk radio, ScoreOnAir.com, The Score.
You're listening to the home of the latest sports news and updates in Columbus. Streaming live on YouTube and the worldwide TuneIn Radio app. This is ScoreOnAir.com.
Welcome back. Second hour of the show. BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio. Not like always, I do not have Marshawn in here with me because he sucks, and he has dinner reservations at Chili's. So instead, I've got my good friend and my coworker Matt Stanley in here. We're holding it down, talking college football. I've got my guy Larry over here shadowing me today. He's a new student here at the Ohio Media School. Make sure you take a listen to his show when he gets started up next week. Now, getting into this schedule here. Oh, by the way, one other thing real quick, too. We got prizes in here at scoreonair.com today. Give us a call or give us a text, 614-641-0674. You will be entered to win a Driven Foundation t-shirt Driven Foundation t-shirt that is ran by Roy Hall and is a good sponsor here at the Ohio Media School. Give me a call, give me a text. Let me know what your favorite kind of pancakes are. Give me that. Give me your first name, last name, your email, and your phone number to the number 614-641-0674 with your favorite kind of pancakes. So anyways, before I got back on track here and started thinking about pancakes because I'm extremely hungry, we're going to take a look at the schedule here. So, I like blueberry. Blueberry's good. So looking at the schedule here, for the first time in, I can't think of the year amount off the top of my head, but for the first time since I can remember, since I first started watching Ohio State football, and probably in your lifetime, Ohio State opens up the season on a Thursday. If you remember back in the 2015 season, we opened up on Labor Day Monday night against Virginia Tech, the team that beat us the year before, and we took care of them soundly down in Blacksburg. This year, we open up on a Thursday, August 31st, at Bloomington, Indiana, against the Indiana Hoosiers. That is an 8 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. Do you see a situation where Ohio State could lose here? Because I don't.
In a simple answer, no. No.
Because I don't.
The loss of Kevin Wilson as their head coach is going to show tremendously in this game.
And also about the fact, too, that Memorial Stadium is big, but it's not that big. It's not that loud. And honestly, with the games that I've watched over the years with Ohio State playing at Bloomington, it's mostly Ohio State fans, and they're mostly gone by halftime, minus that 2012 year where it was 52-49, I believe, by a late touchdown to Philly Brown. Outside of that, it's not really that packed of a stadium. Your offense, JT Barrett, Kevin Wilson, are not going to have problems at all communicating. So I don't see a problem.
Each game in Bloomington seems a little bit closer than you would look for it to be. When you're looking at we're looking at it right now, we are convinced that Ohio State has no chance of losing this game. But I do think that there's reason to pause for maybe a slight concern that it's close, too close, because every time Ohio State travels to Bloomington, they're usually in the game towards the end. Now, whether or not this team can change that remains to be seen. I just think that there's plenty of reason to pause and be concerned that the game is close, and if the scenario presents itself, Indiana could possibly spark an upset. I just don't see it personally. I just think Ohio State has too much talent on both sides of the ball, and Kevin Wilson switching teams essentially for this matchup, I just think favors Ohio State far and away.
Same here. I'm going to wrap that down as a W. Ohio State will have more than a week to prepare, a week and 2 days to be exact, 9 days to prepare for the Oklahoma Sooners who come to Ohio Stadium Saturday, September 9th. That is a primetime game on ABC at 7:30. We all know what happened in Norman last year. It was a J.T. Barrett, Noah Brown decapitating of Oklahoma's defense, and Ohio State's quote-unquote basic defense took care of Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield returns. His head coach, Bob Stoops, does not. They got a new guy in there. I believe he's 31 years old, Lincoln Riley. He was the offensive coordinator last year, which means he does have a obviously very good understanding of their offense, and him and Baker Mayfield are pretty close. Is there any chance that the Sooners come in here and and upset Ohio State at the shoe at night?
Not with this defense.
Not with this basic defense. You don't think this basic defense is going to give up enough points for Oklahoma to win?
No, not even close. No.
It's basic.
They think it's basic.
Well, they seen last year it wasn't basic.
Exactly.
I'm going to count it as a W. Are you counting it as a W?
I think that it's one of the more competitive games that there's going to be, just because I think that there's going to be so much hype around it. But once Ohio State settles in to this game, the offense gets in a groove. I think Oklahoma doesn't have the defense, and them and a lot of other Big 12 teams don't have the defense to stop a powerhouse program like an Ohio State, or like an Alabama, Florida State, etc. I think Oklahoma's defense is going to lose this game for Oklahoma. I think the problem that you could make for Ohio State in this game is Baker Mayfield at quarterback for Oklahoma possibly lighting up this new young secondary. I think that the talent that Baker Mayfield has and the unknown of the secondary for Ohio State is something that could be made a point of, but maybe it's a bit too much to expect that a year after bringing in new faces to play at safety and corner that played very well, that maybe the same could be done again. I'm gonna lead in that direction. I'm gonna lead in that direction. So I'm gonna mark this as a W.
2-0. Saturday, September 16th, the Army Black Knights come to Ohio Stadium for the very first time. These two storied programs will meet at 4:30 p.m. on Fox. W, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I think this is actually a pretty favorable matchup for Ohio State, believe it or not. The front seven is huge in stopping a triple option team like Army. They run triple option. They're mostly based on the ground.
And Ohio State has had much success running their bare front defense that they learned from Virginia Tech, primarily against Wisconsin last year. I don't see an issue with this. I think Ohio State rolls by at least 3 touchdowns.
Absolutely.
3-0. Week 4, Saturday, September 23rd. The Rebels of UNLV come to Ohio Stadium. That is a time to be determined. I'm going to say at least 4 touchdowns here. I don't even think this is going to be close.
Give me 5. Give me 5 touchdowns. 42-7.
4-0. Our first road test into the season, not starting the season, at Stupid Rutgers, Saturday, September 30th, in Piscataway, New Jersey.
I hate New Jersey.
You didn't like Jersey Shore?
No.
I should punch you in the throat. Easy win. Another one by at least 4 touchdowns. Actually, you know what? I'll bet you one. Make it 5.
I think you're lowballing.
5-0. Week 6, Saturday, October 7th. Maryland comes to town to play at Ohio Stadium at either 3:30 or 4 o'clock. TV is to be determined. That is homecoming weekend. Ever since Maryland has entered the Big Ten, they have not done well against Ohio State. I consider this an easy win.
I'll agree.
6-0. Week 7, Saturday, October 14th, at Nebraska, at Memorial Stadium. You and I are both predicting it's going to be at least a 5 o'clock start, maybe even later. I could possibly see a loss here. But I could possibly see a loss, but at the same time, I could see them doing what they've done to Nebraska the last 2 times that they've met. And especially like they did last year.
Just pour it on.
Is Teddy Armstrong coming back? Now that I think about that.
Tommy Armstrong coming back? No, I don't think so.
Is it Tommy or Teddy?
I think it's Tommy.
Is it Tommy John Armstrong? Is he coming back?
I'm pretty sure he's not.
You know what? I don't know if he is or not. But you know what I can tell you? I'm going to let you know if he's coming back or not. And we're going to break down the rest of the schedule after we get back from this commercial break. You are listening to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio, The Score.
This is Bob McElligott, the radio voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and you're listening to the new generation of sports talk radio, ScoreOnAir.com, The Score.
Nasty's Sports Bar in Reynoldsburg is under new management. Located at 6150 East Main Street, the home for Taco Tuesday is rejuvenated and the home for great food and family fun. Nasty's Sports Bar is a great place for happy hour, serving $2 domestics, $3 glasses of wine, and $5 appetizers, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 614-864-2827 to find out the daily specials. Nasty's. Great food, family fun, with a cool name.
Listen to ScoreOnAir.com for your chance to win. Every Friday, we will be giving away a prize pack, and here's how you can qualify. Send us a message with your name, phone number, email, and date of birth to our Facebook or Twitter accounts. Just search Your Score on Air, or you can call or text any of our live shows at 614-641-0674 and tell them you want to win. It's that easy. A new winner will be selected every Friday at 7 p.m. This is your home for the new generation of sports talk radio and weekly prize giveaways. ScoreOnAir.com. The Score.
I'm Jake Safranco with your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Now here's the Sports Doc, Dr. Chris Stankovich.
Does your son or daughter struggle with nerves when it comes to competing in sports? If so, it's important to know that this is perfectly normal. In fact, professional athletes struggle with the very same anxieties that your son or daughter does while competing. Nerves are a result largely because of cognitive appraisals, and what that means is how we perceive things often dictates how our bodies will respond. You might want to think of this as fight or flight. In fact, when I work with athletes, I ask them, do they view pressure situations as challenges or do they see them as threats? If they view them as challenges, they often gain confidence, sharpen their focus, and become even more motivated to succeed. But if they see the situation as threatening, that's when anxiety creeps in and usually compounds matters. So it's important that you look at skills that can help, including deep breathing, using imagery, and reminding your child of the importance of positive self-talk.
This has been your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Enrolling now, visit BeOnAir.com.
Are you a sports fan looking to expand your sports memorabilia collection? Well, First and Goal has you covered better than the Ohio State Secondary. First and Goal is your #1 place to find all the sports collectibles of your dreams. We are located at Polaris Fashion Place in Columbus and the mall at Fairfield Commons of Beaver Creek. Stop on in and you'll find autographed jerseys, helmets, photographs, and much more that will make you the envy of the neighborhood. Feel free to give us a call at 614-896-1016 for our store at Polaris, or call us at 937-427-4737 in Beaver Creek. For all your sports collectibles and more, it's First and Goal.
Matty Ice here, proud alum of the Ohio Media School. Are you looking for a new career? Not just a job, but a fulfilling career? If you want to work in media, radio, television, sports broadcasting, or film and video production, you need to check out the Ohio Media School's Columbus campus today. Their updated radio and television broadcasting program will even have you ready to work in a field you'll love in just 8 months. Stop by the Ohio Media School's audio and video studios today to see it for yourself. Visit BeOnAir.com. That's BeOnAir.com.
You like talking Buckeyes?
Yes! Oh my God!
So do we. Just not all the time. We're home for the largest variety of sports talk. This is the new generation of sports talk radio. ScoreOnAir.com. The Score. The
Score. Welcome back. You are listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio. I do not have Marshawn in here with me like always because he sucks and he made dinner reservations at Chili's. But I got my guy, Matt Stanley, my good friend and my co-worker at the Buckeye Room in Grove City. Stop by and see us. No, we do not have Michigan stuff. If you ask, I will punch you in the throat. Got my guy Larry over here shadowing with me. He just started at the Ohio Media School. He's going to be starting his show next week. Make sure you check it out. He doesn't have a name, but he's thinking of it right now. And he's probably not taking very many lessons from me because I suck too. But I'm on here because I like to talk about things like food. And both of you two got me extremely hungry right now, so I could punch both of you in the throat right now, too, because we was talking about Popeyes and Cane's and fried chicken. And some blueberry pie. Speaking of which, we have a prize pack in here. We got a Driven Foundation T-shirt ran by Roy Hall here at the Ohio Media School. If you want to enter to win that, text me or call in at the number 614-641-0674. I need your name, your email, your phone number, and your favorite kind of pancakes. I do not pick the winner, so please don't get mad at me if you don't win. My guy Jake does, and Jake's not here, so you'll have to talk to him. Don't yell at me. But getting back here, going over the second half of the season, which, by the way, is it Tommy or Teddy?
It's Tommy.
Tommy, and he's not coming back.
Correct.
I like Tommy Armstrong. I do. I really do. And what I like more than Tommy Armstrong is about the fact that how much class our fans had last year after he was literally knocked out on the sidelines. Shout out to our fans. But anyways, getting on into the second half of the season, we are 7-0 heading into the second half, according to you and I. Off week, the bye week is Saturday, October 21st, and after that, to start, quote-unquote, the second half of the season, even though they're already more than halfway, but we're going to roll with it anyways. Saturday, October 28th, Penn State comes to Ohio Stadium, 3:30 kickoff on Fox. We've both got them in our top 10. They won the Big Ten championship last year. They beat us last year at their house. Can they do it?
I think with giving Urban Meyer a week to prepare for this team, I think Ohio State wins it by a bigger margin than most would expect. I just think that with preparing...
So if Ohio State wins, what are people expecting? 7-10? Roughly 7-13-ish?
24-21, I would assume, is what a lot of people would think. That this Penn State team is extremely talented.
Oh, absolutely. James Franklin he did a hell of a job recruiting at Vanderbilt. And look at what he's done at Penn State in a town that's literally in the middle of nowhere. You got to give him kudos for that, and he's got the guys there. I would not be shocked at all if Penn State beats Ohio State. But at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Ohio State beats them by 17.
It's hard for me to see Penn State beating Ohio State when they had a week to prepare for them.
I don't see it either, but like I said, I don't see how they could, but I also see how they could, if that makes any type of sense.
Yeah, you can make the case. I mean, I see what you're saying.
I'm going to mark it down as a win.
I'll agree.
8-0. Saturday, November 4th, at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa. I think you and I can both agree that this is most likely going to be a night game. If not a night game, probably a 5 o'clock kickoff their time, which means 7 o'clock here. I'm not that good with geography. That's why I talk on the radio. But at Iowa, they beat Michigan last year when Michigan went there, which we were rooting for, but technically at the same time screwed us in a way. Well, in a big way. But what do you think? Can Iowa beat us?
Yeah, I think they can.
I think they can too. And if I'm going to mark down a loss on the schedule, this is going to be the team that I think beats Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be by that much though. Maybe at most 9. I don't think they'll get to double digits, but I could see them beating Ohio State by 9. But then also I could see them beating them by 1, like a 24-23 or 21-20 game. But at the same time, there's no way. Mark it down. Go back and listen to the show on November 4th. There's no way that Iowa beats Ohio State by more than 9 points if they do end up beating them.
Okay.
And I do not have the over or unders, because if I had the over or unders here, it would be a lot. It'd be a lot more fun to go back and forth with this, but I don't have the over and unders because they haven't come out yet, because Vegas sucks. But
I'm thinking Iowa. The thing about this matchup is not only that it's on the road, and you and I agree it'll probably be a night game, but just coming off of a big win. If Ohio State does beat Penn State, coming off their bye week from the week before, I think that they might get a little lost in their mission, that they might come off the...
They might be a little hungover off the big win.
Yeah, definitely. I think that could definitely play a role in this game. So I think Iowa gives the best chance for a potential loss out of the Buckeyes this year.
8-1. Saturday, November 11th. The Spartans of Michigan State come to the old horseshoe on the bank of the old Lintangi. Time to be determined. Also, TV to be determined as well. I have went to the Michigan State game the past 2 seasons. If you remember, back in 2015.
Don't remind me.
They lost on a last-second field goal. I was there in the student section. Knocked Ohio State out of the playoff in what was remotely a playoff game. And Michigan State ended up beating us. Off of, I don't remember what his name is. I just remember him going down the sidelines and doing the windmill.
Michael Geiger.
Geiger. My guy. Well, he's not my guy, but you know what I mean. Then I went to Michigan State last year, made the 4.5-hour drive up to East Lansing, and I froze my you-know-what off because my car doesn't have air conditioning because I'm not rich. But what I did do is that I sat there for 4.5 hours in the freezing cold, which actually, come to find out, it was actually warmer outside than what it was in my car, but that's beside the point. We were able to pull off the win, 17-16, on a last-second interception by, I want to say...
Garyon Conley.
Gary, yep, that's... that was about to be my answer in about 2 seconds. But, a dismal 3-9 Michigan State team last year. Very, very unlikely of them, especially under Mark D'Antonio. But I think they're going to have a better season. I'm not saying they're going to contend for Big East titles, Big Ten East titles, or anything like that. I think they're going to be better than 3-9. But I don't think one of those wins is going to come against Ohio State.
I'll agree.
9-1. Saturday, November 18th, the Illinois Fighting Illini come here to Columbus. Time and TV to be determined. I was at the Illinois game the last time Illinois came here. You want to know something very similar to the last 2 games that I just talked about? It was freezing. I had about 17 layers on. I was still cold. I was freezing my second pair of you-know-what's off. I don't see a way that Illinois wins this game. Lovie Smith got great mad respect for Lovie Smith. I enjoy him very much for what he's done with other teams, but I don't like him now because he's in my favorite team's conference. So I hope that Ohio State beats them down, and I think they do very handily.
I'll agree.
10-1. Saturday, November 25th. The game against that team up north. That's a noon kickoff on this year for the first time in over 25 years. It will not be on ABC. Fox has it. And you know what that means.
Gus Johnson?
Cardale Jones, baby. I hate that guy so much, but I love his enthusiasm.
I'll agree.
So this is where the bias in me might be coming out a little bit. But we got to get through this kind of quick because we got about 30 seconds left. I don't think Ohio State loses this game, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Harbaugh wins his first.
I'm not seeing it. The recruits aren't there as much in 2017.
And also, too, and you can say, oh, yeah, well, Ohio State lost a lot of people, and they still came back and won a lot of games, too. They lost, they had all 11 of their starters last year were at least honorable mention in the Big Ten, and they lost 7 or 8 of those starters. So I think Michigan loses at least 2 games this year. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those is to Ohio State. And call me biased, I don't care. Wrap it up 11-1, they beat Michigan.
Definitely.
Got us 11-1. That wraps that up. At the end of the season, I'm going to go back and listen to this show and think about how dumb I am because some of these predictions may have been wrong, and I might have possibly needed a Snickers at some point while going through this. Segment 7, Quick hitters when we get back here from commercial break. You're listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio, The Score.
Broadcasting from the Score On Air studios at the Ohio Media School in Columbus, Ohio. Your home for all the latest sports news and talk. ScoreOnAir.com. The Score.
Are you a sports fan? Do you have a mobile phone? Great, that's all you need to stay up to date with ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation of sports talk radio, with original talk shows starting every 2 hours, covering every sport from every angle.
From basketball
to hockey
to martial arts
to fantasy football.
We cover all Ohio sports. Just go to ScoreOnAir.com or download the TuneIn Radio app and search Score On Air. You'll be part of the action in no time. Whether you're stuck in traffic, at the grocery store, studying at the library, anywhere for that matter. Tune in anytime to get your sports fix. Follow us on social media or go to ScoreOnAir.com for even more original content, including play-by-play of local high school and college games, sports articles, and podcasts. ScoreOnAir.com is your home for the best analysis, coverage, and lukewarm sports takes. The best part, we're broadcasting live right here in Columbus.
OHIO.
ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation of sports talk radio.
The Score.
NWA Midwest Championship Wrestling is looking for interns. Have you heard of Ric Flair? Well, this is the company that brought you Ric Flair before he went to the WWE, and we're looking for interns to work behind the scenes hand in hand with production, with audio, with video, and with podcasts and radio. Contact Damon Dury, the big dog, at 740-971-3968.
The Be On Air Network, bringing you the best of the best in internet radio from across the country. From Miami to Denver to Chicago and Cleveland. You'll hear all the top shows from all of our college stations. For more information on the Ohio Media School, go to BeOnAir.com. Be On Air Network, bringing you the best college radio has to offer.
Are you someone who has always dreamed of a career in sports media? The Ohio Media School now offers a 6-month sports emphasis program to prepare you for a whole new career. Whether it's radio or television, play-by-play or production, the Ohio Media School has you covered. You will receive training from professionals that are actually in the industry. The Ohio Media School will get you where you need to be for a successful career in this exciting, expanding field. To schedule a visit, call 614-655-5250 or go to beonair.com. Stop dreaming about a career in sports and make it a reality at the Ohio Media School.
The new generation of sports talk radio. Here's your ScoreOnAir.com Score Center update.
Jason Kipnis and Michael Brantley weren't in the lineup. Manager Terry Francona was working on his third leadoff hitter in as many games, and Andrew Miller was unavailable. But the Indians had a new cleanup hitter and Lonnie Chisenhall coming off the bench. The lineup changes produced some instant offense and the Indians' first lead in 3 days as they beat the Dodgers 12-5 Thursday afternoon to avoid a 3-game sweep at Progressive Field. Next up for the Tribe is a 4-game series in Minnesota versus the Twins in a battle for first place in the AL Central on Friday. Carlos Carrasco faces off against Minnesota left-hander Nick Turley. First pitch is at 8:10 on Sports Time Ohio. Red Senior Director of Amateur Scouting Chris Buckley announced on Monday that the team has selected right-handed pitcher Hunter Green with the team's first pick, second overall, of the 2017 first-year player draft. The 6'3", 195-pound Green has topped out at 102 miles per hour with his fastball. Louisville could lose its 2013 NCAA title, and the Cardinals coach Rick Pitino will be suspended for the first 5 ACC games in 2018. He failed to monitor his program during an alleged sex for pay scandal, the Division I Committee of Infractions announced on Thursday. Louisville announced it will appeal the ruling. For the latest news, scores, and updates, keep it locked right here to the new generation of Sports Talk Radio, ScoreOnAir.com, The Score.
You're listening to the home of heart-pounding, adrenaline-pumping sports.
Broadcasting from Ohio Media School in the greatest city in the state.
In the greatest state in the country.
In the greatest country in the world.
You're listening to ScoreOnAir.com.
Funny.
Funny. I don't know what you guys were talking about, but it was pretty funny because he said funny 3 times. Welcome back. You are listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio. Marshawn sucks. He's not here today. He's got dinner reservations at Chili's. I got my guy, my good friend and my coworker Matt Stanley here holding it down. I got my guy Larry behind me, new student here at the Ohio Media School. His new show starts next week. You better listen to it or I'm going to come here and I'm going to gouge your eyes out. Same thing, different week. Segment 7. Go over hot topics in the sports world. They are called quick hitters. First quick hitter of the day, if I can get my page up because I got the wrong one. UFC kicker Donald DeHay was told by the NCAA to stop his very popular YouTube account in which he has over 50,000 subscribers, or to quit football. Now the reasoning B is because he's technically violating an NCAA rule by getting compensation from YouTube because he has so many subscribers on his account. He came out earlier today and said that he will keep doing the videos and posting them on YouTube, and he will let the NCAA make a ruling on him. Your thoughts?
Would a player in college be penalized for having a job?
I mean, technically you got, I think it was back in like 2011 or 2012, College Game Day did a special on the kicker from Florida who was working at a grocery store, working minimum wage because he had to support his grandmother's cancer bills. So they let him do that, but they won't let DeHay make YouTube accounts. And it's not even like he's making accounts that are bashing the NCAA or making videos that are bashing them or anything. I went and watched one of his videos. One of his videos is of him knocking a TV off of a 10-foot not a 10-foot building. I'm drunk. A 10-story building, and having multiple camera angles and slow motion of the camera hitting the ground. Had 19,000 views.
I would say it seems harmless, but that doesn't sound pretty harmless. It was a joke. You're supposed to laugh.
Ha 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 ha. As little Johnny likes to say, ha ha, hot box. Instead of, yeah, you know the song. Anyways, so I think it's dumb too. I'm with you. I don't see why this is a problem. But then yet again, the NCAA is also the same organization that just penalized Louisville very much, but yet Baylor still has a football team. But I'm just going to sip my tea on that and leave that for a later discussion because we're going to get into the second quick hitter of the day. NBA draft is this Thursday night. It was confirmed earlier today that the 76ers and the Celtics have traded their picks, and the 76ers will also give the Celtics a first-round pick in the 2018 draft. It is said by multiple sources, including ESPN, and I can't think of what his name is right now. He's covered LeBron since he was like 3 years old. Brian Windhorst, that's him. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I should have wrote this stuff down, but I didn't because I suck. But anyways, according to them and other sources, the 76ers will take Markelle Fultz.
It's huge. I think it's an excellent pick. I think with a potential pick of Markelle Fultz, adding that to what they already have in Philadelphia and Dario Saric, Joel Embiid, even TJ McConnell, I think that the scoring ability of Markelle Fultz really puts the core for Philadelphia into the conversation of what they can be come 5 years down the road. A legit contender. But, I mean, it's going to take some other pieces. But I think it's a good move for Philadelphia. I think on the flip side, this is also a really great move for Boston. They need another guy who can produce offensively.
And they're just dropping down to number 3. It's not like they're dropping out of the top 10. They're literally dropping down 2 picks. Now, I think that with the other rumor that's been spreading around, I got a notification, you probably got the same one from Bleacher Report earlier, is that the Suns are trying to trade up to draft Lonzo Ball. I don't think that'll end up happening because from everybody that I've talked to and have gotten opinions from, there's no way that the Lakers don't take Lonzo Ball.
Well, they had a second workout for him, and
I heard that they weren't very happy.
No, the first workout they weren't too happy. They were quote not impressed, and they held a second workout for him to kind of test his work ethic, see what he does when he wakes up, just kind of like engage who he was more as a competitor rather than a player. Because, I mean, for a player like that who's starred so locally, I mean, you can see what he's done at UCLA just by watching game film. I think they just wanted to see that he was really a competitor. I don't think that Los Angeles lets him slip away. I think that Lonzo to LA is pretty much a done deal as long as the Lakers are in a good position for potential free agents moving forward, that they're the guys they think they can get are actually available.
I think that it's pretty much a lock that Lonzo goes to the Lakers and whatnot. I would think that the Celtics will probably take DeAndre Fox.
The Aaron Fox?
DeAndre. It's the same person. You know what I meant.
Kentucky boy.
Yeah, that guy. I hate him. But anyways, yeah, I don't think that anybody else. I don't pay a lot of attention to college basketball though. So
do you think the Celtics will take him?
I mean, those are the only top 3 guys that I've heard that are going to go in the top 3.
Josh Jackson, out of Kansas, kind of a two-way wing player.
Oh yeah, the tall dude, and then yeah, okay, I could see that maybe.
I think that that's a good fit defensively for Boston. I think that if you're Boston, though, you've got to trade that pick and a future pick to a Chicago for, say, a Jimmy Butler, or to Indiana. You could just trade the number 3 and not another one to Indiana. If you're Boston, you trade the 3rd pick to Indiana for a Paul George. And granted, you say, well, he's a rental because he's rumored to have wanted to go. He has been rumored as wanting to go to LA. I think if you're Boston, you run the risk of that rental because you have so many other picks from Brooklyn and the future one from Philadelphia that you run that risk for 1 year rental and you make a run in the Eastern Conference and try to win a championship.
We're going to find out this Thursday. We're going to see how it all unfolds. 3rd quick hitter of the day. There was a big fight that was announced August 26th between Floyd Money Mayweather and Conor McGregor from Ireland.
I like the accent.
It's my guy. You gonna pay the money to watch it?
No. I'm not going to pay for the fight only because
stay off the weed.
I'm not going to pay for the fight because if there was any fight I would have wanted to see, it would have been Mayweather-Pacquiao, and I didn't pay for that, and although I couldn't say I was satisfied with the result, I was satisfied with not seeing it. So this fight, to me, I don't think it lasts more than 5 rounds. Because
okay, so who do you have winning?
If it goes 2 rounds, then I got McGregor in a knockout.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
If it's the first 2 rounds, I got McGregor in a knockout because I think that's the only way he stands a chance against Mayweather. Mayweather's one of the greatest boxers of all time. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. I mean, a lot of people criticize him for being kind of a more evasive defensive boxer, but with a guy like McGregor who's going to be coming in like very strong, looking for the knockout because essentially that's the only thing he can do. Over in UFC, just a pretty interesting point that was brought to my attention was that the gloves used in this fight are going to be a lot thicker than the ones he uses in UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So a hit that he'll take from Mayweather, granted it's not going to be anything soft, but I think he's going to be able to eat more of those punches, no matter whether they're to the body, the face, whichever. So I think that for the short term, McGregor stands a pretty good chance. But after it gets to round 3 and 4 and 5, I think that the experience of Floyd Mayweather is just going to take over, and it's almost going to be his fight to lose.
Now, there was another interesting theory that me and my guy Burr's out there in the hallway. I think he's still in the hallway. I don't know where he went. But anyways, we was talking about this a couple days ago at the Clippers game, and McGregor may possibly, like, for a split second forget that he's in a boxing match and not a UFC match and just start kicking and breaking dudes' arms and climbing cages when there's not a cage there and everything. And he might get disqualified. But I don't know if there's anything in the contract that says, hey, if you kick or if you start doing UFC stuff and jiu-jitsu and all that other words that I don't understand, that you're not going to get any money at all. But
I know that I saw a report from, I don't remember whether it was Bleacher Report or ESPN, but I read a report that if he does pull any of those actions in this fight, that there's a guaranteed lawsuit that he will be facing, which anyone could have figured, yeah, it's pretty standard for a situation like that. But I think that's enough incentive for him not to, although if, for instance, he does something like that, if it's possible, I think it creates more revenue. I know that
absolutely it will, and it's only going to increase his fan base.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I could see on one hand how it could happen, and on another I could see why he would choose not to. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, he's going to want to actually win this fight. Like, he wants to actually win. Like, I don't want to say fair and square, but I mean, it's really cliche. But I want to say that he wants to win because of the respect that he would garner from a victory against a guy like Mayweather. If Mayweather loses this fight, I don't know. I've been listening to guys on ESPN, and they've been saying that Mayweather has all of it to lose and none of it to gain, and McGregor's the exact opposite. And I'm going to agree with that 100%, because if Mayweather loses this fight, we'll never hear the end of it.
It's going to be interesting to find out and see. August 26th. Those have been your quick hitters for the day. When we come back, you're my boy Blue. What to watch for? Talk a little trash when we get back. You're listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio, The Score.
This is Bob McElligott, the radio voice of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and you're listening to the new generation of sports talk radio, ScoreOnAir.com, The Score.
Hey guys, Matty Ice here, proud alum of the Ohio Media School. Get the training you need to get a job you will love. The Ohio Media School has classes in radio, television, sports broadcasting, and film and video production. Visit BeOnAir.com today to get started. That's BeOnAir.com.
What's good, Big Game James?
How you feeling, D.O. Jr.?
My guy, I'm super excited. High school sports is starting back, man.
Man, I'm even more excited because we got this new show starting. Tell the people what we doing, D.O. Jr.
Man, we starting the Central Ohio High School Showcase, the COHSS.
That's right. We're covering football, basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, and track and field. If it's in season, we own it.
Hey, you know we do this for the kids, man. You can listen live by going to ScoreOnAir.com via the TuneIn app, or watch us streaming live by going to the Score On Air YouTube channel,
the COHSS, giving you nothing less, showcasing Central Ohio's best.
I'm Jake Safranco with your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Now here's the Sports Doc, Dr. Chris Stankovich.
When we think of athletes like Derek Jeter, Kobe Bryant, or Tom Brady, often the first word that comes to mind is clutch. These are the types of athletes who seem to perform their best when the pressure is on. Did you know that clutch athletes aren't necessarily born that way? But what separates them from the competition is that clutch players are not afraid to fail. That's the biggest difference. In fact, they want the ball when the game is on the line. You know, in order to really solidify this point, you might want to go back to an old Michael Jordan commercial where he talked about not how many shots he made when the game was on the line, but how many times he missed. So it's important that we note, in order to perform our best in clutch situations, we have to want the ball in those situations, and we cannot be afraid to fail. Otherwise, we will fail in clutch situations.
This has been your Sports Doc Minute, brought to you by the OHSAA and the Ohio Media School. Enrolling now, visit BeOnAir.com.
Welcome back. You are listening live to BMerr Watters here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for sports talk radio. Marshawn's out today because he sucks. Your boy BMerr is in here with my special guest, good friend and coworker Matt Stanley. Got my guy Larry back there, new student here at the Ohio Media School. We were talking Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather during the commercial break, and I think we all pretty much agree on how that fight is going to end. And Larry is he's a boxer and MMA guy himself, so he can probably tear me apart with one finger. But he seems to think that McGregor is going to take it as well. And I 100% agree with him. But last segment of the day, you know what that means. It's time to get some shout-outs and have a You're My Boy Blue of the Week.
You're my boy, Blue!
You want to go ahead and start, or do you want me to start it?
I can start.
Go ahead.
All right, You're My Boy Blue.
My boy, Blue!
This is going to go to a 4-star offensive defensive lineman, Matthew Jones. He just committed to Ohio State a few days ago. This moves Ohio State into the number 1 ranked recruiting class according to 24/7 Sports. Playing both sides of the line, I think, is going to be huge in getting them on the field. In the 2018-19 season. So I think with the versatility he has, he'll be able to see the field in what is expected to be another extremely loaded recruiting class. I mean, coming from second to now being ranked first, and this class isn't done. We've got plenty of other potential recruits that look like they might be able to sign on, particularly the 12th overall ranked prospect, Jack Carman out of Fairfield, offensive lineman. Ohio State and Clemson are pretty neck and neck for his leader right now. I think Ohio State recruiting is in a very good place, but with this addition of Matthew Jones, he is You're My Boy Blue.
You're my boy, Blue!
This is very scary, what Urban Meyer is doing. We've seen Nick Saban do it. We've seen all these guys do it over the years, but what he is actually doing right now is never been seen at Ohio State. He had 5 stars his first 4 seasons. He's got like 7 or 8 in the next 2 recruiting classes alone. God bless him. God bless the rest of the Big Ten. You're My Boy Blue of the Week.
You're my boy, Blue!
My guy, Eric Stamets, shortstop, second baseman for the Columbus Clippers. Friday night, he went 3 for 4, including 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. He was on fire, even though he grounded out his last at-bat, but I'll forgive him for that. But anyways, had a monster game. That was the first time in Columbus Clippers history that somebody has hit 3 home runs in the same game. So, very big game for him overall in this last homestand. I believe we hit 15 or 16 home runs, and we are now tied with Norfolk for the lead in home runs in the International League. So, shout out to Eric Stamets. You're my co-boy Blue of the Week, and my other You're My Boy Blue of the Week.
You're my boy, Blue!
Shout out to my little sister who Friday morning, I guess you could say, gave birth to a beautiful and healthy 7-pound, 4-ounce baby boy, Levin Shane Payton. Was born at 1:45 in the morning, making me a very, very proud and humble and happy uncle. So he is doing very well. Mama and baby are both doing very well. Rodney, her fiance, is taking care of them, and hopefully I will see you guys soon because you guys live an hour and a half from me. So, sis, I love you. You're probably not watching this because you're probably sleeping right now, but I love you, and I'll see you and baby Levi soon. You guys are You're My Boys Blues of those weeks.
You're my boy, Blue!
That didn't make a lick of sense what I just said, but I'm going to roll with it. So, I just looked over, and I am not recording any of this segment at all. So, yeah. I told you I'd do something stupid every single show, bud.
How did this happen?
Because I'm drunk. But, yes, I'm not recording any of this segment, so Jake is probably going to look at that and get mad at me. Kevin, what is up, bud? But, yeah, so that's how my day is going.
Stay off the weed.
So we've got about 4 minutes left. So real quickly going to touch bases with something that I wanted to get into the quick hitters, but we did not have enough time. The College World Series going on in Omaha, Nebraska. In my opinion, it's better than the NCAA basketball tournament. Do not at me. Been 4 teams eliminated so far. 3 teams eliminated so far. TCU went to the elimination bracket, and Texas A&M went to the elimination bracket. So one of those teams will go home tomorrow. Cal State Fullerton and Florida State, they are playing right now in the bottom of the 7th inning. Florida State is winning 6-4. That is an elimination game. Right now, the only teams that have officially moved on to the second round is Louisville and Florida are going to face off tomorrow, starting at 7 o'clock. Oregon State and LSU, they play tonight at 7. I unfortunately have not gotten a chance to watch any of the College World Series so far because another baseball team called the Columbus Clippers rules my life. But I'm looking forward to watching some of that tonight. With the teams left, yes, I'm going to be a little biased here, and I'm going to take the number 1 team, Oregon State. I predicted Oregon State to win the College World Series back in March on here, but you got another team? Because the only other team that I could possibly see winning the World Series with as much depth and as much power as they have is LSU, the team that they are playing. LSU is very, very dominant, and they were very dominant in the SEC, winning the SEC championship.
You don't think Louisville has a chance?
If anybody's going to come out of the other side of the bracket, yes.
I think Louisville does have a really good chance.
I'm still sticking with my gut feeling, what I said back in March, and I'm sticking with Oregon State. But if there is going to be another team, I'm going to pick LSU.
Give me Louisville.
Louisville's good, though. I'm not going to lie. I'm not taking anything away from them. Don't get me wrong. But I do see Oregon State still winning the national championship and winning the College World Series out in Omaha. And one of these years, I am going to quit lying to myself and actually go there because I've been telling myself for the last 8 years now that I'm going to go. I'm going to go next year. I'm going to go next year. Oh, my God. It starts next week. I'm not there. So I'm going to go next year. Best believe that. I'm probably lying to myself still, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it again this year.
I'm going to hold you to it.
You're going to hold me to it. So that wraps up the quick hitters officially, since that was one of my quick hitters. Almost pressed the wrong button. And I still apologize to my program director, Jake, for not recording this segment because I suck, so give a round of applause to me. What to watch for? What's the one thing in sports this next week that you're going to keep your eye on, and the number one thing that you're paying attention to?
Oh, man. It's hard for me not to gravitate naturally towards basketball, so I'm going to go with the NBA draft and all the hype that surrounds it. I'm going to have to go with Magic and the Lakers getting a superstar in this draft. Lonzo Ball.
I figured that was coming. Like I said, I don't see how they don't take him. Because if another team takes him, his idiotic dad is going to
wreak havoc.
Yes.
He's going to go ballistic. He's going to be crazy.
So I don't see another team that's going to take Lonzo Ball. Don't get me wrong. I wish Lonzo Ball nothing but the best in the NBA, but his dad's a nutcase.
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't see another team other than L.A. I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, D'Angelo Russell, he plays the point guard. D'Angelo Russell is a two guard, and a very underrated two guard at that. A lot of people are not giving him enough credit. I think that the only other team anywhere near the top of the draft order that can get away with and very much utilize Lonzo Ball on their team is Phoenix, who you mentioned earlier is looking to trade up. I don't think there's a play there. I think that Lonzo gets drafted by LA. I mean, Magic himself said that there's a bit of Lonzo that reminds him of himself, and many people have given Lonzo Ball the comparison of Jason Kidd with a jump shot. I mean, Jason Kidd, a Hall of Fame
very
point
ugly
guard.
jump shot.
Well, that's neither here nor there. I mean,
it gets the job done.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to go with you as well. You know this as well as anybody. Basketball is my third sport that I pay attention to, but I am going to pay attention to this draft specifically for the fact that there's so much hype on this draft and the players that are in this draft and the possible trades that can still happen. So that is our what to watch for this week. But unfortunately, we are out of time. You've been listening to BMerr Watters live here on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for Sports Talk Radio. Matt, I appreciate you for stopping in with me, buddy. Larry, thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate you. And that stopped too quickly, so I'm going to play it again. There we go. So, Marshawn and I will both be back next week. Stay tuned Monday from 3 to 5 on ScoreOnAir.com, the new generation for Sports Talk Radio. See y'all next week.
Broadcasting from the Score On Air studios at the Ohio Media School in Columbus, Ohio. Your home for all the latest sports news and talk. ScoreOnAir.com. The Score.
The Be On Air Network, bringing you the best of the best in internet radio from across the country. From Miami to Denver to Chicago and Cleveland. You'll hear all the top shows from all of our college stations. For more information,